Hello and welcome back to the Bober Academy Football Podcast. Now, we have a new feature we're going to be doing every week. It's called Saturday Rest and Recovery with Nolan Clausen at Midwest Movement. Now, of course, you play a game on Thursday or Friday night, and Saturday you go watch film. The soreness starts to creep in Saturday evening, and Sunday morning you wake up, you're stiff as a board. So we're going to talk about a full body recovery system today. I'm your host, Chris Bober. This podcast is brought to you by the Bober Academy, where our mission is to train and develop superior alignment to dominate on the gridiron. You know, if you're listening to this podcast, wherever you find podcasts, that we are there. Be sure to subscribe to this down there so that you can get notified of new episodes. If you're watching us on YouTube, we have a great YouTube channel. Click the link down below to subscribe to our channel and click the bell for notifications. And you can find tons of our stuff on YouTube. Now, we're also going to be on all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I even have a TikTok page. So be sure to like, follow, retweet, all the things that go out there. So now we are joined today with Nolan Clausen at Midwest Movement. And Nolan has been a great tool for the Bober Academy on just how to get your body right? You got the actual performance out there, but in order to perform, you got to rely on your body and what it does. So like I said, Saturdays are typically a day of kind of a little bit of recovery, but what most guys do is they get up in the morning, and when I was playing, we would go get the newspaper and see kind of if your name got in there, if there's a picture. I'm sure kids now just look on their phones and they head over and watch film. And if you have a good coach, they probably have you go out and do maybe some wind sprints or striders and kind of get yourself loosened up. But Nolan is here to give you more than that, right? I've always thought that the football season was a marathon, especially at the NFL, when you go for 20 some weeks, if you count training camp. High school is a little bit shorter and college is a little bit shorter than that, but you want to make it to the end in as good a shape as you were at the beginning. And a huge part of that is recovery. So again, Nolan and Midwest Movement, he can be found over there in Elkhorn, over by Rick's Meats, right there on 204th Street. Loves to get people back. Nolan, tell me your theory on recovery and why it's so important to get active recovery right away after a performance.
So, in general, I wish I had some of these tools when I was playing. Saturdays, Sundays, we just laid around. We didn't do a whole lot, and that made for a really long week ahead. And so some of this routine basically gets our heart rate up enough that we start pumping some blood, flushing the system, get that lactic acid out of those muscles, helps you get those joints that got beat up last night, those muscles that got beat up last night, gets them so that we can get them moving a little bit. It also helps us give a little bit of inventory of what areas maybe got a little bit more beat up than others. Some things that we could maybe pay attention a little bit more to. This hip, man, I didn't realize my hip was that beat up last night. But these movements that we're going to do, or this routine that we're going to do, is going to basically give us a lot of information about what areas we need to work on a little bit more, but it's also going to get all that lactic acid. It's going to get those muscles, those joints moving again that got a little stuck. I'm a huge advocate for rest is pretty much never the answer unless it's a broken bone or things like that. So we want to make sure that we keep with that theme and still moving our bodies the day after we got beat up. And like you said, it's a marathon, so we got to keep our bodies fresh and recover faster for the next week ahead.
Yeah, it's important you start doing this week one. Like, this is coming out the day after what is week one in the Nebraska high school football season. It might not line up with everyone out there, but this is not something you only do when you don't feel good, right?
Right.
I remember what it's like to be as a teenager, and you can, if you want to, probably make it through, but you're going to be a lot better if you start taking care of your body with recovery, starting immediately. Start this today. Yep. Do this every single week. So Nolan, go ahead and give us a demonstration of this recovery routine.
All right. So this routine, we're going to go every joint and we're going to do full body or full movements. We call these controlled articular rotations. We're going to take every joint through its maximum range of motion very slowly, methodically, and then we're just going to move down the body. We're going to start with the neck. So in any of these movements, whatever area we're focusing on, we want to make sure that we quiet the rest of the areas, meaning we want to make those areas still as possible so all the focus is going through those joints. So we're going to first start with the neck. So I like to take my hands, make fists, put them down by my side, lock out my knees, lock down my shoulders. And what we're going to do, we're going to draw a circle as big as we can with our chin. So first we're going to take our chin, we're going to go straight down. We're going to rotate it to the side. Slowly, we're going to look up, bringing that chin around, making a big old circle. You can see how slow I'm going with it. Good. So that was one repetition. We're going to do 2 each side, each way. So here. Rotating. So that was 2. Now we're going to go the other way. Chin down, rotate it all the way around. We want to really try to move through the end ranges. We want to get the most out of this movement, pushing through all those restricted areas a little bit. Okay, so that was the neck. Next, we're going to go to our shoulder. That's the next joint down. So we're going to work on our right hand. Left hand, make a fist, put it down by our side. Right hand, thumb up, goes straight out in front of us. We're going to reach it back. And you can see my hand right here. I'm going to take that thumb. I'm going to turn it in towards my head. Try to turn it as far towards the front of the room as we can. Then we're going to try to reach that arm back. We're going to reach as far back as we can. Then we're going to go back and reverse that motion. We're coming straight back. We're turning that thumb back in so it's facing the back and coming back down. Most of people are going to be maybe out here. I work on this stuff so I can get a little bit more vertical with it. But we want to take this really slow. And we want to imagine that we were up against a wall and we were trying to keep that arm as vertical as possible. We're rotating through it. Good. Like I always say, we want to keep the rest of the body still. We don't want a whole lot of motion while we're trying to do this. We want to try to keep it still. That was the shoulder. So we did that 2 times. Now we're going to do the elbow. A lot of people don't think about working the elbow, but it's still a joint that needs some movement, especially for linemen, right? We beat those things up. We get hit from the side all the time. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this elbow, palm up. We're going to flex that bicep. Then we're going to wave or wipe off our chest, trying to keep that elbow to our side. Or come back around, making as big a circle as we can. Good. That was 1 rep. We're going to do another rep. Good. Then we reverse that. Good. 1 more rep. We're going nice and slow. We're trying to break open some of those ranges of motion, trying to work through some of that stiffness. It's okay. It can be a little uncomfortable. Uncomfortable is okay. Pain is not. Now we're going to work on our wrists. As linemen, we use our hands and wrists a lot. So what we're going to do, get that elbow locked to our side right here. We're going to go up. We're going to turn in. We're going to try to rotate it all the way around. This is kind of a weird motion, but we're going to do 2 of them this way. And then we're going to go 2 this way. A cool thing that you could do as some of you high school kids, video yourself doing these motions and put it on a time lapse and then post it on your social media. It'll look really funny. You'll be spinning around in circles and doing things. It's kind of fun.
You can tag us on it too. So
yeah, that would be awesome. All right, next one, we're going to go to that left side. Lock down that right side. We're going to take that shoulder. We're going to reach it back. Trying not to rotate much, but we're trying to keep those shoulders facing forward. And we're going to rotate that back. That's 1 rep. We're going to do another. Good. Should feel a good stretch in the shoulder, the deltoid, the bicep. So what I love about this is we're moving the joints, but we're also getting stretching through those muscles. Okay. Now we're going to go elbow, palm up, flex that bicep, wipe off our chest, bring it around. Good. Go 1 more rep. Good. Then we reverse it. Going nice and slow. We don't want to speed through this. It can be kind of boring, but the slower we go, the more uncomfortable it is, the more we're going to get out of it. All right, now we're going to take that wrist. We go up, that elbow locked in, point that wrist up, rotate it in, out and around.
Yeah, you know, it's really important, I think, for your wrists and some of these. I know you're going to get down to the ankle and stuff, but some of these joints that are taped up, like I always tape to my wrist, and
Yeah,
that's just an impact there. And in
reverse it.
doing that, if the only work you get is when your wrist is taped up, then you're going to get weaker. So this is going to do. It's kind of like working out in your socks. Like we had that whole series about that, but when you do these for your taped joints, that's going to be really helpful in recovery.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We got to keep those joints moving. All right, so we got our arms all worked out, right? Now here comes the really important part. We're going to be starting down into the lower half, and these are some of the most bang for our buck. This one, we're going to give ourselves the biggest hug that we can. Try to grab as far back as we can. We're going to keep our lower body still. We're going to take our elbows and we're going to draw big circles with our elbows. So we're going to pull those elbows down. We're going to turn. We're going to rotate. We're going to try to make some big circles. The chiropractor in me, when we do these motions, you might feel some popping in that mid back. That's awesome. We're getting those joints to unstick. Good. And then we're going to reverse that. We go 2 times each way. Going around. Making big circles, as big as circles. Each rep, we want that circle to be a little bit bigger. Okay, so that was our thoracic spine. Now we're going to move towards the ground. And we're going to work our low back a little bit. So we're going to go in tabletop position. We are going to create a wave with our spine. So we're going to flex the spine up. It's just like a cat-cow. So this is the cat. And then we're going to drop it real low. And this is the cow. We're going to try to get our spine as close to the ground as possible. I know it's a long ways away, but we try to go a little bit further. Then we reverse that. Really, the focus is in the mid-back, just trying to get it moving.
And the purpose of doing all this is getting blood flow, right? Like your body wants to heal itself, and if you can loosen it up and get it moving, it'll kind of flush out some of those toxins from the soreness and inflammation, right?
Yep. And I don't want to bore you with all the details of the neurology that is involved with it, but the more we get joints moving, the more neurological feedback to the brain. The brain just loves it. It's like just a big juicy steak for the brain every time we do these. All right. So now we're going to work on the hip. So just like everything else we've done, we want to quiet or not move through any rest of the parts of the body. So we're going to take we're going to squeeze our knee. So if you have a ball or you just flex that knee in here. Now we're going to bring our knee to our chest. We're going to open up that hip. We're going to rotate the heel up, come back down, around. I like to call this one the dog peeing on a fire hydrant. So then we're going to reverse that. We're going to bring that knee up and around over that fire hydrant. That was 1 rep. We're going to go up towards our chest, bring it out and around that fire hydrant, come back down, reverse that movement, bring that knee back around that fire hydrant. Good. So that was 2 times on the right. We're going to do 2 times on the left. So knee towards chest, rotate out and around. Good. Kick back, bring that knee out and around the fire hydrant. That was 1. We're going to come up, back down, kick up, back around. Okay, that was the hips. Next week, we're going to go in and dive into the hips. So a lot of people, that one's going to be a really stiff one. That's going to be a really hard one. And so we want to make sure we dive into that next week. So stay tuned. All right, now we're going to work on the knees and the ankles. So can you see me all right?
Yeah,
Yep.
we see you good.
Okay, so basically, we're going to grab behind our knee or the back of our thigh. And we're going to take our heel. We're going to push it up towards the ceiling. We're going to try to rotate it in. We're going to draw those big circles. So push it up, rotate it in, come around, down, rotate it back out. We're trying to draw the biggest circle we can with that heel.
Yeah, and this, this is your knee joint, so it's not a huge range of motion, but just getting
Right.
some in there will help get that blood flow, right?
Absolutely. So we did 2 that way. We're going to go 2 the other way. Drawing big circle. Also, when you get up here, you're going to feel a lot of hamstring stretch. Okay? Like I said, I love these movements because they're movements for the joints, but they also stretch the hamstrings. They also stretch muscles and tissues. Okay, so that was 2 on the knee. Now we're going to move to the ankle. So we're going to point the toes down. We're going to grab right here first. Then we'll point the toes down, drawing a big circle. And we should try to get that circle as big as we can with the big toe. Good, there's 1 rep.
Yeah, for those of you that are
Back
listening
up.
to us in a podcast, Nolan's just laying on his back, grabbing his knee and making circles with his knee, and now he's onto the ankle here. So it's on the back position.
Yep.
It's not too strenuous here.
Yep. If you're listening to this, I strongly urge you to find this on YouTube too. All right, so we reverse and we're going back the other way. We're going 2 reps right there. Okay, so we're done with this side. We're going to move on to the left leg. So we're going to move that knee again. So we're going to push that heel up towards the ceiling. We're going to try to rotate it in, come back down, and around. Make it as big a circle as we can. There was 1 rep. 2. Good. Now we're going to reverse. Come back around. Reverse. Come back around. Good. Now we're going to grab onto the shin. We're going to move that ankle. So we're going to point the toes down, rotate them in, rotate it around, come back around. Rotate in, come back around. Good. Now we're going to reverse it. Up, down, up, down. Okay, so that was pretty much the full body. 1 last area. So we are going to get up and close and personal with our feet right here. And we've talked about feet before. If you listen to any of the other stuff, I think it's one of the most vital things that we can do for us football players, linemen, especially in the trenches, because our feet are in these foot coffins, as I like to call them. But what we're going to do is we're going to push those big toes into the ground. We're going to lift our other 4. Then we're going to put the other 4, lift the big toes. We're just going to go back and forth. This is a really hard movement. If you can't do this, that's okay. Keep trying. It will come. The more you work on it, the better it'll get. The more you'll get these muscles in your feet to start working, the joints moving a little bit better.
Yeah, and the more you
So
can strengthen those muscles is gonna not only help with your performance and feeling the ground and keeping your feet on the ground, but all those little there's so many little muscles and bones in your feet and ankles. Having those as strong and as fluid as much as possible is gonna keep those feet healthy too.
yep. So that concludes our full body routine. Like I said before, these are things that I wish I would have had as a player, things that I would have utilized after game day, probably every day. Even right now, I'm not an athlete. I still try to do things like an athlete, but even today, I still try to move my body in these motions almost daily. And these are things that I use with patients of all ages, all athletic abilities, to get our joints starting to move again after injuries. So,
That was awesome. That was a routine. We talked through it and explained a lot of it, but it really would only take 5 or 10 minutes every day. So this is
yeah,
something that I think should be done every day as an athlete. Just getting your body ready for competition. When you wake up in the morning, you know, get yourself some movement out there, right? I mean, this is an
yeah,
everyday kind of thing. And I could tell you this right now, as someone like yourself, I'm actually much older than you, but did that a long time. You feel sore and feel great. Like you got to stay ahead of it, right? It's kind of like staying ahead of the pain. You got to stay ahead of it, and that will lead to less soreness all throughout the season.
yep. I mean, look at some of the best players in the NFL. They're spending tons of money on their recovery. They're not just spending tons of money on big cars and houses and things like that. They're spending a lot of money on recovery. You see it, James Harrison, Tom Brady, people that have had long careers. They've spent a lot of money on recovery.
Yeah, that's great. So this is an awesome lesson. I'd encourage you to watch this over and over again until you have this down. A daily workout, a daily movement that you should be doing. One thing to notice is, you're minimally clothed, right? Shirts,
Yep.
shorts, no socks and shoes. Again, those foot coffins will make you weaker.
All
So
right.
that's awesome. So we're going to build on this every Saturday. We're going to come out with some things that you can do to make yourself better and get yourself ready to play the next week. So this is the one you're going to be doing every week. I know we're going to hit some areas, specific areas. So when you go through these motions, you feel a little twinge in there. We're going to give you some stuff to work on where it might be, whether it's your shoulder. I know next week we're going to do the hips, all those kind of things like that. So Nolan, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing this. If you do need someone to help you out with this, right? Nolan is he's the owner of Midwest Movement. He's right there in Elkhorn. You can find more about him at midwestmovementelkhorn.com. He works with a lot of high school athletes, and he'd love to help you out. So that's going to kind of wrap it up for us today. A constant reminder: we love to spread the word. Please subscribe to our channel on any of the podcast apps, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're going to have great content all season long, and this is just the start of it. So Nolan, thank you
Yep.
so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We're going to keep helping these linemen and all athletes out there stay on the field, stay in the game, and your input is very helpful.
Yep. Video time lapse yourself doing these and tag us, and we'd love to see your weird movements in a fast pace.
Ha! That's a challenge. It's a TikTok challenge. We'll make that our own
Yep.
TikTok challenge. Ha!
I
All
like
right,
it.
Nolan. All right, Nolan. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Yep. See ya. Thank you.